In this week's video, Altering the Past to Write Your Future, we're going to be talking about the importance of some key aspects in terms of using the power of your imagination. Now, before you roll your eyes at this is very key. I want to help you understand how you can utilize this innate gift. This may be a gift that you're overlooking. In terms of altering the past and rewriting the future, there are specific steps that you should follow. And if you are not following them, you're actually losing out. Because I can tell you that not just myself, but there are countless, hundreds, thousands of people who've already been doing this. In fact, I'm going to extend that number to millions. And if you don't know about this, or you think that this is hogwash or it's a fantasy, I have news for you. If you can do what I tell you to do in my videos week by week, you will build up the muscle and the consistency in terms of becoming a reality creator. If you're anything like me, I want to know how something works so that I can understand it for myself and put it into practice. You know the old saying of give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, or teach him to fish and he'll be able to fish for life. Well, that's my philosophy. My name is Fazila Bijo. I'm here to help you as a budding reality creator, or maybe even a seasoned one, to actually get the deeper understanding and meaning of what it means for you to utilize processes and techniques that the great mystics like Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, Lawrence Scovel-Shinn, Anthony Novell, and many more who have left us with these blueprints of how we can actually shape our reality. And again, if you're anything like me, you want to be the driver, you want to be the creator of your reality, you want to understand these laws and principles and processes so that you can actually do this in your day-to-day. Now, if that hasn't convinced you, I don't know if anything else will, but I'm going to imagine that you are truly desiring to become the manifestors and reality creators. And the gateway to using this is your imagination, but it's not imagination in the way that you may have learned. One of the things that I want to draw your attention to is that if you don't know how to apply the law of assumption, or why the law of attraction works in certain instances, or affirmations, or even scripting, if you don't know how to apply them and when to apply them, you're going to be missing out on some of the really key factors so that you can make your reality come true and you can become a potent manifester. Actually, Neville Goddard says, become the operant power of the law. And that's what my sights are set on, is that the more people who become an operant power of the law, who know how to operate the law of assumption, well, let me tell you, we get to elevate and raise consciousness on this planet. And I have a deep desire to make the world and our reality an even greater one. What is as important as creating a world where we are seeing reality in the way, where we are experiencing reality in the way we would most love to have, I also wish to leave a legacy where the future generation is capable, is living in a world where they have created one that they need not be in lack, in doubt, have frustrations, have any kind of level of anxiety about how they can actually create their lives, but the lives that they would love to live. Now, another thing, not knowing how to practice the law, not knowing how to apply the law, how to manifest, can lead to unpredictable results. So I'm sure you want to know what the formula is and apply it. Now, let me be clear. On this channel, I'm sharing teachings with you. What your personal issues may be, what your blocks and limitations may be, may require that you actually contact me or contact someone who practices and teaches metaphysics, the law of assumption, how to apply the different laws, how to apply the different processes and techniques. So I just want to make that clear. is I can give you the tools. How you apply them is going to be unique to you and also what your circumstances may be. So do not be despondent. I want you to realize that first, building the muscle. You'll need to go to gym, and initially you're going to have to build your capacity, start doing 1 push-up and then 5 and 10. And then sooner or later you discover that, hang on, I've hit a plateau. Now, when you hit a plateau and your body's not shifting any further than you have been maybe exercising for 3, 4, 5 months, you then get a trainer. Well, that's where I come in. So I am a consciousness coach. I am a mentor, a metaphysical teacher. I teach my clients how to raise their consciousness so that they can transform and transcend previous levels that they have been programmed into. Now, here's another reason for understanding why the law of assumption is actually important. So if you didn't know this before, the past has a bearing on your future. And I will be talking about that and why you need to understand this. I have a very simplistic but effective exercise for you in this video. And I'll bookmark it so that you can go to that exercise. The question I would like you to keep at the back of your mind is, are you writing your future and are you shaping your future consciously? Or is the future actually happening to you? When we get to the end of the video, I'd love to hear your comments on this. So come along with me. If you're new to the channel and if you're new to the series, I want to just go over this very quickly and help you understand why I chose The Law and the Promise, which is a book by Neville Goddard. In this book, Neville talks about imagination creating reality, and it is the cause of shaping reality. Life itself is an activity of imagination. Nothing has not originated from our imagination. Everything was first a thought. So nothing exists independent of our imagination. And it is our imagination that produces the physical world that we live in. Now, if you're new to this, you may find yourself not buying into this and not wanting to hear this. And that's okay. I do invite you to keep an open mind and listen with the ears of a beginner. So Neville calls it proof of existence of people who have applied the law. And this book has many case studies in each of the chapters. Now, Neville constantly reminds us to consciously control our imagination so that we realize our goals versus leaving it on autopilot. And persisting in the end births our dreams, our desires physically, because the world is endlessly shaped around our imagination's content. To reiterate this, the cause of everything is imagining. This is what imagining creates reality is about. But having an awakened imagination that works with a purpose, which means harnessing the power of our imagination to improve our lives and assume the fulfillment of our desires have already happened. They have already taken place within. And it is your persistence and faith in the unseen reality and the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Using imaginative occupancy and spiritual sensation, bringing all of this together can feel a bit daunting. This is why each week we will delve into different concepts. And the more you hear this in different ways, then you can actually start to remember and apply it. So here's the point again. Man is pure imagination. Life is an activity of imagining, and the world originates in divine imagination. Now your divine imagination is you. It is I am. The desire that comes from within, which is God, it is I am. You have been given this desire for a reason. You wish to experience, and that is what life is about, is having the experiences, but not just allowing experiences to happen to us, but creating the experiences and focusing on truly creating the outcome that we desire. I spoke about this last week, that the secret to really using your imagination is self-abandonment. This is when you abandon yourself mentally to the imagined state You imaginatively occupy the state and you completely believe it is real. Aligning the emotional state, the internal state, to become the one who already has the desire before it has shown up in the world. When you imagine, if you long to escape from your present sense of what you've been fixating on, or your present physical circumstances, you want to transform that present life into the dream of what it might be. You mentally enter the dream. And what you will actually do is you would see yourself as though you are already in that dream. Because this is what I was referring to earlier on. You are what you want to be. You become the person who already has the new car. You become the person who already has the relationship. You feel what it would be like to have that partner when you're waking up next to them. So the end is not the partner itself. Yes, they're next to you, but the end is that feeling of joy, that feeling of having that connection. So I hope you're starting to see the difference here in terms of what you should be focusing on. Because the end is never the thing. The end is the feeling state. So this is why you mentally enter the dream. And thus my previous video, Enter the Wish, talks exactly to this. You will discover your dreams are realized through imagination. You mentally and emotionally enter that imagined state, and you sustain it by going into sats, and you sustain it with changing your inner speech, and you sustain it by changing any negative patterns from the past that may still be coming up for you. Now, here's something to consider. When you initially are wanting to become the person who has something that you don't have currently, it is to a certain extent like make-believe. It is like a child fantasizing, the child who's creating their make-believe world, who dreams about becoming the astronaut. And that's the thing. We must be in none of our senses in the outside world. We go into the imaginal space. You make believe like a child who is remaking its world after what it feels within, after its own heart. And here's something to remind you: as a child, you may have had an imaginary friend. You may have played with your toys on occasion by yourself, and you didn't think anything of it. You were using your imagination. We find that children play at being adults. They play at being animals, building a fortress. When was the last time you did something that was playful, that encouraged you to open up to your creativity? If we look at kids, they don't mind investigating a blade of grass. They don't mind looking at ants that are walking on the ground. They follow the trail of ants to the anthill. They are curious. So use your curiosity, use creativity, drop into the space of make-believe initially. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between the past and the present. It does not know that you do not have that thing which you're imagining in your reality. The more that you go into the space of make-believe, your subconscious mind, especially in that time of state akin to sleep, which is that drowsy state when your brain is going into theta waves, the more you can implant and imprint this into your subconscious. And that's when your subconscious has accepted it, it brings that belief, starts to play out in your physical world. And therefore, I want to just attune you to this, that there is one thing that stands between you and the fulfillment of your dreams. And that one thing is the facts that you have believed to be real in your external world, in your physical reality, in your outer circumstances, is actually your imaginings. The facts that you've accepted to be true is everything that you've imagined. You've imagined this in the past. And when you are to imagine and you are to change stuff, then You must change the facts that you are seeing in your external reality, because those facts are living within you. Because those facts are actually things that you imagined as your reality in the past. And it is now up to you to decide what is the future you wish to have. You must enter the wish, the image in your imagination, and then you think as the person who already has it. That's what thinking from it means. So it's not that you do not have the car right now. It is not about you buying the car. It is not even about when you have the car. It is about the fact that you have that feeling of owning the car. You have the feeling of, in your imagination, in your imaginal scene, you have seen it so many times, your subconscious has accepted it. Now, every image can be embodied, which means that as part of your physicality, you feel it in your body. It drops in, you feel the sensation, you feel the feeling of the joy, you feel the feeling of the excitement. And this is what I spoke about in my previous video of imaginative occupancy. You feel it is your reality already, and you creatively transform your current thinking and feeling to embody that which is your wish. Even though that wish may be something that you think is coming down into the future, you make that future what is then here. You make it your reality already in your imaginal space, in your space where you have occupied it already. You occupy it to the level that you do not accept anything else. You know that with persisting in your faith, that you are so in love with the new state of you, the new state of you who has the car, of you who has the partner, of you who already has the freedom, the financial freedom, not money. Money is not the end. Financial freedom, the satisfaction, that's what you're aiming for. So you enter into the state of the wish fulfilled. You give it all the feeling, the vividness of it being real. You feel it in your mental capacity. You feel it real in your imagination. Neville says this: man and his past are one continuous structure. A structure is something that is made up of many parts that are put together. And man feels that it is merely that his past is history. But remember, your past is made up of all the facts, those things that you thought were real, you took as a given of being your reality, are actually the things you imagined. And you've preserved them. And they are still active and now run your life because they are sitting in the subconscious mind. We are the selectors, and we have the privilege to determine how our reality will play out. And we determine what we will respond to and what we bring into existence for ourselves. And many go about not realizing how privileged they really are. So I would encourage you to actually start to understand that you are forever embodying. You are the one that is occupying the state of consciousness, because everything that has been is still in existence. And we occupy the state of consciousness within ourselves. To manifest is to demonstrate and to make something visible. Everything exists within us. Knowing that all things exist within us is the key to transforming and changing how we see and approach life. It's past of the living age, because everything still exists. And the mistakes of the past cannot be left behind, for nothing disappears. But this is a paradox, and this is something that Neville speaks about in terms of how we can make the change, though. So if we are to look at the past, it still exists, and it will still give you the result that you experienced in the past because of what you're experiencing in your current life, of what you're experiencing in the present. And if you do not change anything, you do not change your response and your reaction to what you experienced, it will go on to impact your future. So just hang with me here. When you go back in memory and you seek and you destroy the cause of the undesirable in your life, however far back that it may be, you are now able to change the memory. And when you change the memory, you change the fact in your life. And by changing the fact in your life, you change how you imagine and what you imagine about circumstances. And therefore, you also change how you manifest, and you change what you manifest in your life. Now, Neville talks about the use of our imagination and the power that lies within. This is what it's about, is go into the past, change what you experienced into what you would have loved to experience. And this is where Neville has taught revision. Now, revision is going into the past, replay the scene of the past in your imagination. And how do you replay it? You change it. You change it to what you would have preferred to have experienced. You change it to how it should have been played out in the first place. And when you do that, Neville says, the past results in repeal. Now, to repeal is to change something in the law, is to revoke, to rescind it. That's what revision does. It undoes. It will reshape, because you are going into your subconscious mind and you are changing the imprint that a particular experience has been living within you as a state of consciousness. When you change that state of consciousness, you change how you react, you change how you respond. And therefore, when you change what you've been holding within, it changes on the outside. Why? Because your imagination creates that reality. So going into the past and replaying the scene in imagination like you wanted it to be is revision. The cause of any present undesirable experiences are unrevised scenes of the past. So what can you do? You must look at what you do not desire. You go back as far as you need to. Go back to the last time you had that particular experience and change that. And then if something else comes up in your memory, go back and go and change that. So each time you're going back further and further. Or if you remember the first time you experienced that particular issue, go and revise it, pull it up when you drop into a quiet space of meditation and you constantly loop the new state of consciousness until it feels real to you. So, because your past has an impact on your present and future. So any alteration of the content, the memory, the reaction to the experience will result in an alteration in your present and future state. So changing your life means to change the past. And Neville says this, live nobly so that your mind can store a past well worthy of recall. So always remember that the first act of correction or cure is to revise. And living nobly means have a higher state of have a higher ideal, have a higher state of consciousness. Because if you fail to revise, you're going to fail to shape your future. Now here's the thing, remember this. If the past has created the present, then a revised past will recreate into the present. Or else, this is what Neville says, the claim that though your sins may be like scarlet, they shall be white as snow, is a lie. And he says it is no lie. And I will be going into in the weeks ahead, we'll be talking about the case studies and the testimonials that many sent to Neville in terms of how they were able to shape and transform their lives. The example of a rose. Now you drop into the state where you are going to just block out, crowd out anything else that is happening in your environment, and run your hands on the flower to feel the velvety softness. you see this beautiful rose and you can smell the rose, the many petals that you caress. It feels and it smells beautiful. It's soft to the touch. This is evoking spiritual sensation, where you bring these sensations in for whatever aspect it is that you know you would experience when you are in that scene. Now, if you can do this and practice this, you'll find that it's easier for your senses to drop into the imaginal scene. And when you imaginatively occupy the scene and you now bring spiritual sensation, which is your senses, what would you hear? You might be out in the garden and you can hear birds singing. You can hear the insects chirping. You can feel the sun on your skin. Bring those sensations in. And when you do this, the more you are able to practice this, you will see how subtly it all comes together. And you'll realize that your imaginal faculties, your spiritual sensations as well, are all coming together. But it does need practice initially. Be like the child who uses their imagination for the joy of it. Neville speaks about his intention with the law and the promise. And one of them is to bring about a story-by-story commentary in each of the chapters. So you can show that there are never any disconnected themes across the first 14 chapters in terms of the first part of the book about the law. He hoped that it would serve as a thread of coherent thought that shows proof of its claim, and that is imagining creates reality. Because he said to make such a claim can easily be done, but to prove it in the experience of others is far greater. So for you to see and believe that the use of the law can be actually applied constructively in your own life is the aim of this book. And that is what I wish to help you understand, is to be the creator of your reality, to be a reality creator, to be the operant power of the law. You must know how the law works and know how to apply the processes and techniques, actually learn them. And when you may come about with certain issues that are not actually working out the way that you need them to work out, please feel free to reach out to me. I have a masterclass on revision. It's a 4-part masterclass, and it will teach you step by step it'll teach you step by step how to apply revision. It will also teach you on many of the principles and processes around the law of assumption, and you can actually apply that to anything. Like I said, you bring in a mentor or a coach when you cannot get past a certain level, and I'm available to help you with that. I look forward to bringing through the next video, where we're going to start looking into the case studies and particular aspects that Neville highlighted in these case studies in terms of the use of the law and how you can apply revision. Please leave your comments on what you found to be insightful, were there aha moments for you in terms of this week's video. This is Fazila Bijo. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, become the conscious creator of your reality. I'll see you in the next video.